Welcome to the deep dive. This week, that's November 2nd through the 8th. AI felt like it was pulling in two directions at once. On one hand, just exponential scale, and on the other, this really urgent need for governance.
Definitely. We saw tech moving aggressively past the theoretical, into the practical world. Things like enterprise workflows, national sovereignty.
It really felt like the abstract research just collided head-on with demands for real accountability.
Exactly. Capability and governance converging.
Yeah.
And just look at the numbers that dropped this week. A technical report hinting at maybe a 1 trillion parameter model.
Wow.
Yeah. And then a huge enterprise deal, putting Claude out to 350,000 employees. Plus, a big jump in on-device efficiency, 10 to 25 times better context reduction.
And maybe the biggest headline, that landmark governance move from India. A huge framework, 7 pillars, focusing hard on national compute power.
Right. So the theme is clear, pushing capability, faster agents, bigger models, but it forces these immediate high-stakes decisions. National sovereignty, enterprise accountability, it's all happening now.
Okay, let's dig into this week's source material. All right, starting with research. Google unveiled something called DS-Star. We hear a lot about agents automating workflows. Why is a data science agent like this so important?
Well, the official Google blog post detailed it as a new state-of-the-art, versatile agent for data science. And why it matters is purely practical.
Okay.
Ask any data scientist. They spend, maybe 80% of their time on manual stuff,
Yeah.
data cleaning, feature engineering, just exploring the data.
Right, the grunt work.
Exactly. DS-Star aims to automate those complex workflows. So it removes the massive bottleneck. It means companies can actually use advanced AI, get insights faster without needing, an army of data scientists just for that prep work. It feels like a real step forward in robust agent design.
But robust agent design usually means massive resources, right?
Sure.
Cloud-based stuff.
Typically, yes.
But this week, there was also research pointing towards getting sophisticated agents working, like, on your phone.
Yeah, this was maybe the most immediately practical research piece we saw. And our GIF paper introduced a new framework for context-efficient agents on device.
How'd they do that?
They use something called adaptive context management, specifically techniques like LoRa adapters and loading data schemas just in time. The goal is deploying powerful agents even when memory is tight.
Okay, wait. Let's unpack adaptive context management a bit for, our listeners. What does cutting the context growth rate by 10 to 25 times actually mean if I'm using an AI app on my phone?
Okay, think of the context window as the AI's short-term memory. Bigger memory, more power drain, more cost, slower responses. Simple as that.
Makes sense.
Adaptive context management means the system is smart. It only loads the specific knowledge or instructions it needs right when it needs it, like only grabbing the manual for step 5 when you're actually on step 5.
Got it. So reducing that growth rate by up to 25 times. The practical benefit sounds huge. Is it my battery lasting longer? Faster AI? Both.
It could be both, but the big wins are really cost and speed. The paper showed a 6-fold reduction in just the system prompt context. That led to that massive 10 to 25x cut in how fast the context grows compared to usual methods.
And they tested this on?
A 3 billion parameter small language model, an SLM.
Yeah.
That kind of efficiency boost is what could finally make sophisticated AI agents practical on mobile. It tackles those memory limits head on.
Efficiency is definitely key. And speaking of systems working over the long haul, Google also introduced something called nested learning this week. What problem is this trying to solve?
This tackles a really tricky problem in AI. Catastrophic forgetting. Basically, how do you teach a system new things over time without it messing up what it already learned?
Right, that's a classic challenge.
So nested learning is a new approach. It's designed for AI systems that need to operate for a long time. In the real world, think maybe a medical diagnosis AI that needs to learn about new research every week. It helps them absorb new info efficiently without degrading past knowledge. It's about building cumulative, reliable intelligence.
Okay, so on the research front this week, automating complex work with DS-Star, huge efficiency gains for on-device AI, maybe 10 to 25x, and tackling long-term memory with nested learning, that really sets the stage for wider adoption.
Absolutely. And moving from the lab to the boardroom, well, Anthropic had 2 major announcements showing exactly that capability turning into real-world use and also thinking about accountability.
Yeah, that cognizant partnership, the scale, is just staggering. We're talking about getting Claude into the hands of 350,000 employees.
That number, 350,000 employees globally, it's a huge signal. This isn't some small pilot. It's deep integration of a frontier model into the daily work of one of the world's biggest IT and services firms.
So it's moving beyond experimentation.
Definitely. It suggests the model is seen as reliable, compliant enough for serious professional work at scale. It's a major validation.
But at the same time they're pushing adoption, they also tackled the other side, long-term risk. They put out a formal commitment on model deprecation. Why should anyone, outside a forensic lab, care about preserving old model weights?
It really boils down to long-term corporate accountability. They've committed to a clear process for retiring older models. That includes saving the model weights and doing post-deployment interviews.
Okay, but why does that matter to, say, a business using the AI?
Think about liability. Imagine an AI agent gets deeply embedded in a critical business process, or maybe even civic infrastructure. 5 years down the line, it causes a massive failure.
Right.
You absolutely need the original blueprint, those preserved model weights, to figure out why it failed. It connects very technical detail directly to, everyday concerns about safety and long-term software responsibility.
Accountability is definitely key. Now, shifting back to pure capability, Ling, they release a technical report for their 2.0 model. Big number attached to that one.
Yeah, the report, Every Activation Boosted, details a massive scaling effort, and the key number is 1 trillion parameters.
1 trillion.
It confirms the race is absolutely still on, pushing model size into the multi-trillion range, hoping to boost general reasoning skills. It's not a full public launch yet, but the report itself is a pretty significant update on where that scaling race is at.
Is scale still the main game, though? Does 1 trillion parameters automatically mean better capability? Especially when we just talked about a 10 to 25x efficiency gain in smaller models? Seems like a contradiction.
Well, that's exactly the tension, isn't it? That's the sort of intellectual friction point this week. Proponents will argue that complex reasoning handling abstract multi-step tasks really only emerges reliably at these massive scales. Ling is aiming for an enhanced general reasoner.
Okay.
But at the same time, you have this success of these super efficient small language models, the SLMs. It suggests that for maybe 80% of typical enterprise tasks, that huge scale might just be overkill.
So the market might be splitting.
It looks like it's segmenting, yeah. Ultra-scale for the fundamental research on general intelligence and hyper-efficiency for getting things done practically.
Okay, let's look underneath all this, the infrastructure. AWS had a case study about ML training optimization for Amazon Search. What were the gains there?
Yeah, this was a really good, concrete example of smart cloud optimization. Amazon Search showed how they basically doubled their ML training pipeline speed, a 2x increase, by using AWS Batch more intelligently with Amazon SageMaker. Why it matters is straightforward. For something as hungry for resources as e-commerce search, doubling your training capacity has a direct business impact.
Faster iteration.
Exactly. They can iterate faster, train new models, roll out better features much quicker, all without necessarily buying tons of new hardware. It's kind of resource democratization through just being smarter with optimization.
All right, now here's where that tension we talked about really hits the global stage. India's comprehensive AI governance guidelines. This sounds like more than just another policy update.
Oh, it's huge. Truly massive. India's Ministry of Electronics and IT MeitY released their comprehensive India AI governance guidelines. It's part of their India AI mission.
And it's structured how?
Around 7 pillars. Covers everything. Infrastructure, capacity building, risk mitigation, accountability, you name it. And globally, this is being seen as the first major comprehensive AI governance framework coming out of the Global South.
Okay, so what makes it stand out from, say, the EU AI Act or what the U.S. is doing? It sounds like they're really focusing on innovation and digital sovereignty together.
That's precisely it. They absolutely stress a do-no-harm principle and inclusive innovation. But the strategic core, the real differentiator, is building sovereign compute and model infrastructure.
Sovereign compute, meaning owned and controlled by India.
Exactly. The guidelines specifically call out securing 3,000 next-gen GPUs just for these sovereign applications. That's AI infrastructure controlled nationally for national priorities. They're also providing over 38,000 GPUs at subsidized rates to boost domestic capacity. And they're setting up AI Kosh, a national data repository, starting with 1,500 datasets.
Wow, so they're building the capacity and writing the rules at the same time. It's not just about regulating risks from outside. It's about enabling domestically and ensuring control.
Absolutely right. They're prioritizing resource democratization at home while making sure the critical underlying infrastructure stays sovereign. It's a different approach compared to pure top-down regulation elsewhere, and it really could shift the global conversation about how nations, especially outside the West, plan to harness and control AI for their own development goals.
Now, besides that massive Cognizant deal, Anthropic also made another move this week, signaling they're thinking about the social side effects of their models.
Yes, that's right. Anthropic expanded its economic futures program into the UK and the EU.
This isn't a product launch, right? It's more about research.
Exactly. It's not a commercial deal. Think of it as a key investment in policy engagement. They're providing research grants specifically focused on studying AI's impact on jobs, labor markets,
It's
productivity.
a proactive engagement.
It signals that, yeah,
Yep.
a recognition that the economic disruption from these powerful AI agents needs serious academic study, not just market hype. They're engaging with the potential policy risks up front. Hashtag Tag Toolbox.
Okay, for you, the learner, looking to maybe apply some of this week's knowledge, let's flag 3 resources that popped up in the window. First, something useful from OpenAI.
Yeah, OpenAI launched the OpenAI Academy Home. It's basically a central hub for educational stuff, tutorials, documentation, really essential if you're trying to get up to speed quickly on their tools and just general AI concepts.
Good resource. And next, NVIDIA had something timely given all the agent talk.
They did. Their developer blog put out an interactive guide focused on building lightning-fast AI agents, specifically for machine learning workflows. Given that efficiency research we talked about, the 1025x game, this seems super relevant for practitioners right now.
Makes sense. And finally, a tool that connects back to that governance discussion, particularly local oversight, Civic Searchlight.
This sounds like a really powerful tool. It's built by Canada's National Observer. What it does is track AI-generated language being used in policy documents at the municipal council level.
Why is that needed?
Well, it's designed to help journalists, civil society groups, spot potential misinformation campaigns or, synthetic policy influence. Think back to that Kissy-Lai chatbot incident where AI tried to infiltrate local policy debates. This tool helps build democratic resilience from the ground up. Hashtag tag numbers of the week.
Okay, let's wrap this section with the numbers that really defined the shifts this week from the lab right up to national strategy. What stood out?
Number one has to be 350,000.
Yeah.
That sheer number of Cognizant employees getting access to Claude. It's just a massive indicator of enterprise AI scaling now.
Okay, number 2.
10 to 25i?
Yeah.
That efficiency jumped the context growth rate reduction for on-device agents using adaptive context management suddenly makes sophisticated mobile AI look viable.
Got it. Number 3.
3,000. That's the number of next-gen GPUs India plans to get specifically for its sovereign AI applications under those new governance guidelines. Shows real strategic intent on infrastructure control.
And finally, number 4.
1 trillion. The parameter count scale detailed in Ling's 2.0 technical report confirms that push towards ultra-large models for advanced reasoning is still very much alive. Hashtag WRAP and provocative thought.
So this week really felt like managing extremes, didn't it? Pushing models towards 1 trillion parameters while at the same time demanding these comprehensive 7-pillar national governance frameworks.
Yeah, the rise of these sophisticated autonomous AI agents is undeniable. But so is the recognition that you need guardrails, you need long-term accountability. Anthropic's model deprecation commitment is a piece of that puzzle.
And the data this week suggests the governance challenge itself is shifting, right?
I think so. You see this tension. On one side, the huge centralized power needed to build a 1 trillion parameter model. On the other, this urgent push for localized democratic oversight highlighted by India's sovereignty focus and even community tools like Civic Searchlight. AI isn't just software anymore. It's becoming mandatory civic infrastructure in some ways.
Which raises a critical question for you, the listener. The real tension maybe isn't just safety versus innovation anymore. It might be between centralized corporate or state power and local democratic oversight.
Right. If AI surveillance, autonomous agents are scaling this fast, the challenge isn't just learning how to use the algorithm, it's figuring out how to effectively audit and contest these systems that are starting to govern public life.
So the provocative thought is, what decentralized accountability measures can communities actually build before these powerful centralized systems become just irreversible parts of how society functions?
That feels like the challenge for the next few years, definitely.
And what should we watch for next?
Keep an eye on the India AI Impact Summit, slated for early 2026. The expectation is it could really solidify this shift in the global conversation, moving beyond just talking about AI action to demanding measurable AI impact, especially focused on inclusive development and democratizing resources globally.
We'll definitely be watching. Thanks for diving deep with us.